CBRE Vietnam has just released the latest report on Vietnam's real estate market in Q4 in particular and in 2018 in general. According to CBRE, when mentioning the prosperity of real estate segments, it is impossible not to mention the high flow of capital of domestic and foreign investors into this market. According to the Foreign Investment Agency, Ministry of Planning and Investment of Vietnam, foreign direct investment or FDI in 2018 in the field of real estate reached $6.6 billion. Real estate accounted for 18.6% of the total registered investment capital and ranked second in the FDI attraction sectors. The largest registered investment in the past year, worth more than $4.1 billion, belongs to Sumitomo Corporation Japan, invested in the Smart City project in Hai Boi Commune, Vngn, Đông Anh District, Hanoi. Apart from Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh City attracted the highest number of foreign investors with nearly $2 billion in the past year. Experts say that with this growth momentum, the real estate market will continue to attract foreign investment in 2019. Hello everyone, and you're watching Sharing Vietnam on VTC10 NetViet. In today's program, we are going to find out more about the market outlook as well as the flow of capital into the real estate market of Vietnam in 2019. And please welcome the guest of today's talk show, Dr. Henry Chin. He is the head of research of CBRE Asia Pacific and also Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Thank you so much, Dr. Chin, for joining Sharing Vietnam today. So first of all, we'd like to listen to your comments on the impressive changes of the real estate market of the region, Asia Pacific, as well as Southeast Asia and also Vietnam in 2018.
This is interesting. 2018 has been a great year for Asia Pacific real estate market, and the transaction flow continued to be very, very vibrant. We got 120 billion of all transactions across Asia Pacific's commercial real estate spaces. Huge capital still looking for rooms to find the asset to buy. I think Southeast Asia has not been a topic for investors for a number of years, but last year people start talking about Southeast Asia. And of course, start with Singapore. It's been one of the strongest performance market in the region. So a lot of capital go to Singapore, but more and more people are coming to Southeast Asia. Why? Because of the escalation of a trade conflict between US and China. And Southeast Asia seems to be a natural hedge for a lot of occupiers and manufacturers as well as investors. So I think Southeast Asia is changing for positive. I think that trend is going to continue in 2019. So when I was traveling across the region, and the people talk about Southeast Asia as Sienna economy is not for everyone. They talk about VIP. V is Vietnam. They want to invest in VIP market. V is Vietnamese market. So I think the Vietnamese market is going to have great opportunities going forward. Whenever I come to visit Vietnam, I can see the changes in infrastructure, the improvement of the efficiencies, and then everything is improving on an annual basis. And given the trade conflict between US and China, and when I talk to our Chinese clients, they want to move some of the production lines to Southeast Asia, and then Vietnam is definitely on their radar. And it's not going to happen tomorrow. I think it's more of a process, progressive movement. I think the medium term is going to be so good for Vietnam.
It can be said that in 2018, Vietnam had a lot of advantages, especially in the real estate market. Did we make good use of those advantages, in your opinion?
Advantage for Vietnamese market is you still got a cheaper cost. For occupiers, it's definitely looking for cheaper alternative locations. So Vietnamese offer the cheaper location for real estate rent as well as for cheaper labor, and your labor quality is improving substantially. So this is something definitely on the call for a lot of investors and occupiers. However, the government really need to do something to open up for foreign direct investment. you look at my presentation early on, and we talk about China and India. They are opening up for a lot of restricted sectors for foreign direct investment. They come here, I give you incentive, I give you concessions, I help you to set up the business, I give you a lot of tax initiative. Easy to acquire the land as well. And then they go there. So I think government should play the active roles to promote Vietnam. I think that's my view.
So in 2018, we witnessed the stable increase in capital led to the significant improvements of the real estate market of Vietnam. What are your comments on that issue?
Yes, definitely. I think, although as you mentioned, Vietnam might not be the top market for Southeast Asia, but more foreigners are coming here. The market is opening out, and the people are getting more wealthy. Over the past 10 years, Vietnamese market has transformed. To, before financial crisis is very volatile, right? But now 10 years expansion, people get wealthy, more stabilizing, given the trade conflict happening, people come here. So that's what I think 2019 going forward in short to medium term is going to be very, very, very important, very good for Vietnamese market.
Apart from direct investment capital, foreign investors also poured money into the real estate market indirectly through big merge and acquisitions or M&A deals. In 2018, Singapore's GIC fund spent $1.3 billion to buy shares and invest in Vngn projects. Fraser's Property of Thailand acquired shares of Vngn Real Estate Company, a member of Thai Real Estate Company. The deal value was estimated at $47.3 million. Another Singapore-based group, Capo Land, also bought 20% of Quoc Lộc Phát Joint Stock Company to implement the Metropole Thủ Thiêm project. In 2018, in order to tighten real estate credit, the State Bank of Vietnam issued Directive Number 4 on the policy of not considering or adjusting credit growth targets, except special cases. Strict control of credit on potential risk areas such as real estate, securities, BOT or BT. Strictly control consumers' credit, especially consumers' credit related to real estate. That is the reason why domestic enterprises had to mobilize capital from different sources, especially from foreign investors. This also shows that capital drawn into the real estate market is increasingly diversified, which is a good signal marking the gradual reduction of dependence on bank loans.
Chúng ta cần phải thứ nhất là đa dạng hóa các định chế tài chính trong đầu tư bất động sản. Nên nghiên cứu để cho phép thành lập quỹ đầu tư tín thác bất động sản, rồi quỹ phát triển nhà. Thứ hai là cũng cần phải nghiên cứu để phát triển thị trường trái phiếu tốt hơn, để thông qua đó là các doanh nghiệp kinh doanh bất động sản có thể phát hành trái phiếu và huy động nguồn vốn trung dài hạn ở cái mức lãi suất hợp lý. Thì thứ ba là cũng cần phải tiếp tục minh bạch hóa thị trường bất động sản, đặc biệt liên quan đến thông tin thị trường, thông tin quy hoạch, thông tin các dự án để các nhà đầu tư người ta yên tâm khi người ta bỏ tiền vào.
According to Ho Chi Minh City Real Estate Association, trade conflicts between a number of large countries and the trend of oil prices increase steadily will motivate foreign investors to come to Vietnam, the country with political and macroeconomic stability and an open business environment. It is also forecasted that FDI in real estate sector will continue to increase in the coming time. Also in the year 2018, we see high flow of capital from foreign investors into the real estate market of Vietnam, especially in the luxury segment. What do you have to say about this?
So how can you make a profit? This is a big question mark in my personal view. However, if you ask me about developers can acquire the land and then they develop the product. The product could be ranging from luxury to mid-range. I think as of now, when the market just opening out, they tend to focus on top 5-10% of segment of the residential market because foreign investors come here, they build a high quality, pay for premium, they target the top of the pyramid. But once the market getting more mature, you will see a lot of those developers that are moving from the top to middle end. So you're going to see more and more investors, developers are moving from the super luxury end, lower their quality to target for the wider populations. That's the maturity of the market. I think something we need to be aware of is we're talking about e-commerce expansion, we talk about trade conflicts in the benefit for Vietnam, and then therefore the more and more inflow is going to come to Vietnam for buying up industrial land to develop to the modern logistic facilities. I think that during today's presentation in our event, we haven't been talking a lot of logistics spaces for Vietnam because the market is still the early stage. It's very, very opaque. And but this is a brighter future. In my personal opinion, I think logistic, industrial is the sweet spot for everyone in Vietnam. Vietnamese developer all thinking about the condor. They should thinking about how can I develop the modern logistic facilities, learning from the Singapore developers, learning from Hong Kong developers, because they will give you a super attractive return, stronger demand underneath to support the return.
In the panel discussion of today's event, you mentioned the increase in interest rate. How will it affect the real estate market and the flow of capital into this special market as well?
Interest rates always a risk when it comes to real estate investment. I think at this point of time, I won't advise clients to come into the market, take a huge loan to buy real estate because interest rate cost of finance is going to increase. So therefore, when you buy any real estate, you have to be super cautious about how much loan you want to take on, because you might cost you $100 interest rate now, you might cost you $110 next month. So therefore, this is super cautious for that. But in our view is we are expecting to see the spike of interest rate like what we have seen in the past 2 to 3 cycles. So therefore, the increase of interest rate is going to be very moderate. So as investors, when you come into the market, number one, don't over leverage. If you think it's too expensive, you can't afford it, walk away. Real estate is a cyclical asset classes. You're missing the trend for this time. Few years after, you can get to the market again. Don't chasing for the price because we've seen that in the past cycles, people get hurt.
Apart from getting more open toward facilitating the investment from overseas, what are the other measures that we can do and we can take in order to make the real estate market of Vietnam more attractive towards investors?
So the legal system is not transparent, the land title is not transparent. As simple as a rental collections, how much you pay for the rent, what's the prices, transaction prices. This is all the basic requirement for the mature institutional investors from the West. Because until you had the transparencies in place, a lot of US and European institutional investors said, okay, I will just wait and see how it goes. So that's why you can see a lot of capital coming here is within Asia, right? Because they can take a higher risk. But if you're moving up, the lower risk, lower return investors, the number one requirement is definitely the transparencies and sound legal systems.
At least we have the entire year 2019 to work on the openness of the market and policy as well as transparency. Once again, thank you so much, Dr. Shin, for joining and sharing with us today. That is the end of today's talk show. Thank you so much for watching us. If you have any questions or recommendations, please send out an email at sharingvietnam@netvietTV.net. Thank you for watching one more time and see you again.